We know little about our existence or the planet we reside on, including its name. Humanity has been here long enough that the history it has turned into legends, and everyone here has their own version of that legend. What we do know is that this planet is not Earth. We are all humans, but none of us that live here are from Earth either. Keep watching for a complete breakdown of everything we know so far about Anthem. This world was created by gods known to us only as Shapers. These gods wielded huge pieces of powerful technology used to harness a force of energy known as the Anthem. This force is what was used to create the planet we know today. But before the planet could be completed, the Shapers suddenly left. They abandoned all their creations, leaving their work unfinished and their machines behind. We don't know what caused them to leave so abruptly, but we do know that this was not because they completed their work, instead leaving behind a world with an unforgiving climate, treacherous terrain, and fierce creatures. In order to survive this inhospitable world, our ancestors created powerful exosuit armor which gave us superhuman abilities. Not just any civilian gets to don one of these incredible suits though. Only those who have trained to be part of an elite group of pilots known as the Freelancers get this privilege. In real-world contexts, we can liken these Javelin exosuits to something like an Iron Man suit. These suits give us extraordinary abilities and powers that we normally would not have. They carry weapons, give us incredible strength and agility, and enable us to fly, helping us traverse this planet with ease. Don't be fooled into thinking these Javelins will make us invincible though. The world is filled with incredibly large creatures, colossal beasts, and other monsters out to get us as they try to survive too. These Javelins simply provide us with a fighting chance in our bid for survival. Each Javelin is unique and is different in the skills and abilities it provides. Right now, we know of 4, the Ranger, Colossus, Interceptor, and Storm. The Ranger is the all-rounder Javelin that can do a bit of everything and is the one that we will all begin the game with. This makes sense as it will help us learn various abilities rather than being too focused on 1 or 2 as we make our way through the first parts of the game. The other 3 Javelins are unlockable as we complete missions and progress through the game's story. As well as not being bound to which order we would like to unlock our Javelins in, we will also supposedly unlock them all within the first quarter of the game's content. Along with the incredible power and mobility these suits offer us, each Javelin also has its own unique special ability, also known as ultimates or supers in other games. As you'd expect, these abilities are not available endlessly and must be fully charged before they can be activated. Charging your ultimate happens slowly over time, but will also be sped up as you either kill enemies or assist a teammate in kills. As you level up, other items will become available that will also help increase the charging speed of your ultimate. Even though there are 4 different Javelins available, no one wants to look like everyone else in the game, and being able to customize your character is always a big part of any RPG. Anthem is no different, and customization here has been taken to the absolute next level, and there is more than one way for you to change up the look of your character. There are 3 main types of customization available which will change the physical appearance of your Javelin. Materials and paint is the first option, and as the name suggests, allows you to change both the material your suit is made of, as well as the colour. Materials are broken out into 6 categories and essentially add a different texture to your Javelin. These textures range anywhere from different fabrics like leather to various metal finishes. Once material is chosen, you can then add colours to these. The materials and paint you choose is not restricted to your entire Javelin. Your helmet, arms, chest and legs can all have a different material and or colours assigned to them. Vinyls are another option for customization. These are basically decal skins that can be applied to your whole Javelin. You can't design your own currently, but new vinyls can be collected throughout the game. If you don't have the time or energy to put into a complete design process offered through the materials and paint, this will be the quick and easy option to go with. Lastly is the wear state of your Javelin, and is basically for showing the wear and tear or battle scars you'd like people to see. The wear state appearance is also based on the materials you've chosen. For example, if you use cloth, it may look more stained rather than metals looking more dull and faded. You might want to show a lot of chip paint or make it look beaten up. And before you ask, yes, emotes are also in the game. In Anthem, however, they are called animations. You're able to equip 5 animations to your loadout. 3 of these can be used just like any other emote in any other game. The other 2, however, are used for a victory pose and your arrival animation. The victory pose is shown on the stat screen when you and your friends or teammates have completed a mission. The arrival animation is used, well, whenever you arrive into the game, either with your friends or other players. All this customization has to be done somewhere, and in Anthem this is done in our home base, known as Fort Tarsis, a fortified city that protects us from the outside world. Even though the fort is our home base, it's not limited to just us freelancers. People from all walks of life reside here. Although the open world aspect of the game is a shared space with other players, Fort Tarsis is not. It's totally private for each player. Not only is this where we will work on our next fashion statement, which by the way is done in the Forge, it is also the place where we interact with other civilians and vendors, where we can possibly purchase items which improve our Javelin or gear. Along with Fort Tarsis, we also have a mobile base available to us, known as the Strider. We can collect some missions from this area, but most will need to be collected direct from Fort Tarsis. I'm imagining that possibly only smaller side missions can be collected from the Strider, while main story missions can only be collected from the fort. Also hidden in the confines of Fort Tarsis are agents from 4 major factions within the game. Yes, we aren't the only people in this world fighting for survival. There are many other factions doing the same, but they often find themselves needing the help of us freelancers. As with any game, all the factions have their own set of weaknesses and strengths. The 4 main factions we will interact with are the Sentinels, Corvus, Ciphers, and the Arcanists. These faction agents will be where we collect our missions and contracts from. One of the biggest components in any game like this is loot and gearing up. Naturally, it is expected that you would collect loot ranging from weapons, mods, and customization as you play through the game. In this way, Anthem is very similar to every other game of this genre. As you progress through the story, you'll collect loot related to your level, which will assist you further in completing harder tasks. The amount of weapon customization in this game has the level of depth that probably requires a whole video to explain adequately, but essentially weapons are broken down into different rarities. All weapons also come with a range of stats attached to them. These stats can be anything from enhancing firepower to holding more ammo. They're also randomly rolled, so in theory, you should never find 2 weapons with the same stats, unless you're as unlucky as I am. You'll also not be able to re-roll any of these stats, so you'll need to grind out to find the perfect roll, which in my opinion is much funner than just having a table where you can re-roll or recalibrate stats and spend a few bucks and get the perfect weapon. Weapons are also not tied to specific events within the game. By this I mean different missions or bosses don't have a specific loot pool associated with them. The full loot pool is shared with every mission or boss. While this makes it interesting that you don't have to grind a specific mission for the gun you want, which is great if you really hate one mission or boss, the problem with that is essentially the easiest or quickest mission will have exactly the same loot pool available as the hardest mission or boss. So who's going to spend 30 minutes grinding the hardest boss for a gun, when you can do the easiest mission 3 times in the same amount of time it takes to do the hardest one, for the same gun? Gear in Anthem will work a bit differently to what most of us would be used to, for the reason that gear has no stats physically tied to each piece. Instead what we have are components. These won't alter specific gear pieces by improving armor or reload speed like we're used to seeing, but instead will add blanket stats for your character, which may change the way you'd approach the gameplay. For example, it may increase blast damage or a certain type of elemental damage. As I mentioned before, the loot element of the game is enough info to warrant a whole video on its own. I've just provided a basic overview of what we can expect when the game releases. If you do want a more detailed video though, let me know in the comments, and if there's enough interest, I'll see what I can do for you. Another hot topic these days in the game industry is that of microtransactions or loot boxes, pay-to-win content and DLC. You'll be happy to know that Anthem is looking pretty safe in all these areas. There will be DLC at some stage, but we're not sure exactly what this is just yet. However, I imagine this will be announced either at launch or not long after. We have been told that there will be no season pass and any story DLC will be free. It is specified that it's story DLC, so I'm sure there will be other DLC content like new Javelins or possibly PvP, if that ever gets added, or other content that isn't story based, which won't be free. None of this content is confirmed, of course. As for loot boxes and microtransactions, they will be present in some form or another. We've been told that if you do wish to purchase anything in-game, you'll know exactly what it is you're paying for. Microtransactions will be available, but only in cosmetic form. This means that there may be specific vinyls available which could be related to certain in-game or real-world events that you'll be able to purchase for real money. This won't be the only way to buy these cosmetics though. You'll also be able to buy these using in-game currency that you earn through playing the game, completing quests, etc, etc. The devs have been extremely transparent and interactive throughout this last year, by consistently providing game updates and information, and also taking the time to answer plenty of questions that are constantly thrown their way on both Reddit and Twitter. Obviously, they are limited to the amount of info they can give out, but it's very promising to see. Anthem's full release is the 22nd of February this year on the usual major platforms PC, Xbox One and PS4. There are two versions of the game available, these being the Standard Edition as well as the Legion of Dawn Edition. It's also been confirmed that there will be no other special editions available. Along with the base game, the Legion of Dawn Edition will also give you a legendary armor pack for each of the 4 Javelins, as well as a legendary gear attachment for the Ranger Javelin, and also the game's soundtrack. There will be a VIP and private demo available from the 25th to the 27th of January, but access to this is only available if you pre-order any edition of the game. The demo will also be free for anyone from the 1st of February, so if you'd rather not pre-order, wait for that. Pre-ordering the game will also give you a Founders Player banner if you're into that. Also, if you're on PC, you can join Origin Access Premier and get to play the full game 1 week before the final release. Any progress you make during either of these demos though, does not carry over to the final game.